Alright, so one of the first things you'll need to know for going to Artist Bluff Trail, which is I'm sure why you're watching this video, is that is Cannon and is in the parking lot adjacent to that. So when you come into the parking lot, if you look way over there, there'll usually be a couple of cars. There's a little brown sign, and that is the beginning of the trailhead. Alright, so once you get to the trailhead, as you go up, depending on what you want to do for the day, if you go up and towards the left, you'll go to Bald Peak. It's pretty quick. But if you're going to make a loop, once you come in, you get to about this point. If you turn to your right, you'll see a trail marker on the tree and the trail going that way. I prefer going this way because I'd rather go up the steep part as opposed to come down it. Alright, if you do choose to take the clockwise route on this trail, as you're coming back around towards the end, keep an eye out for this marker. If you don't, you'll end up going left and end up on the road. Depending on the time of year, it's easier or harder to see. Right now it's pretty easy to see. As everything grows in, it's a little bit harder. Alright, so if you're going to come and do this trail just for the view coming off Artist Bluff, you want to come in through that entrance. You'll park at Echo Lake Parking. You'll see that sign, see where the guardrail is. All those people walking across the street may or may not be going to where they think they are. This trail is pretty easy to find if you know where it is. If not, it can be a little deceiving. So anyways, if you're coming just to do Artist Bluff and Summit, get the views of 93, that's the place to come in, and then you'll go into the trail there. If you do intend on coming and hiking in the Whites, I think this is a good trail to start off with. The grade is pretty good representation of what usually goes on here. Although this is very short, you'll get an idea of the steepness and the type of terrain that is in most trails in this area. Like I was saying before, I prefer to do this trail counterclockwise, as there are these steep grades in here, and although they're short, I prefer to go down or go up them than go down them. There's this area and another area that's steep. You also start to see the rocks. There's a fair amount of climbing here, and so don't get too far off trail. Somebody did get hit. So if you're coming up counterclockwise, you'll come up to this as you're about to go to the actual bluff. Obviously you go left if you go to a Bald Mountain. As you come back down, you'll go around. If you were coming from the Bald Mountain side, you'd come down this and you just keep an eye out for this. I think there's markings on the back as well.
Cool. White. Relax.
Alright, so that would have been the good old mother, or the, you know, the money shot, as it were, from over there. I didn't want to sit there and film with that girl sitting there enjoying her lunch. It is best to come in the middle of the week. If you come on the weekends, there will be a lot of people. So I'm leaving there and I'm heading right, going up the Bald Mountain, or Bald Peak Trail. And nice little shot of Cannon back there in the lake. But yeah, and again, if you're just going to Artist Bluff, just take that little short stint out of Echo Lake, and then you can enjoy that bluff without having to come around the long way. And it's not too bad, a little steep. Again, I like going counterclockwise because it kind of breaks up those two steep sections. There's the one getting up to there, and then the one be coming up on here in a few minutes. Alright. This trail, for as short as it is, does offer a handful of decent views that pop out of the trail here and there. Definitely worth it. Worth the mile and a half that you go through. This is a nice trail up on the other side. It's certainly worth going and checking out. There's nice little stuff in there. Hey, Filson, hup, hup! Come on! There he is. Alright, again, if you're coming counterclockwise through the trail, as you come back around from the bluff side, you'll come to this intersection where, if you're coming up from the cars, that's the trail you would come up from, the original parking lot. And there's a nice sign for Artist Bluff and Bald Mountain. Again, you know, this can be pretty steep, rocky terrain. If I were to choose one or the other, I prefer Bald Mountain, but as you will see as we get further up, it can get pretty steep, and if it's wet or icy at all, it can be pretty dangerous. But again, I prefer it. So like I was saying, this is pretty steep on this side. Although that dog makes it look easy. If you have a dog, children, older people, this can be a bit much. Although, it's not too bad, and it makes it feel like you're doing something. Alright, so we are up on Bald Peak now. Like I say, if you're just coming for a quick view, I prefer it. It is pretty steep, very short from the car up, but I feel like you get a much more comprehensive view than the other one. On Artist Bluff, you can just see down into the valley where 93 is, whereas here, especially if you're willing to walk out a little bit, you can see much more area. Also, the sun sets on this side, so if you want to come up for a nice sunset, this is really the spot to be. I really like this trail. We come up pretty often. It's almost our daily walk if we're not doing something else. Pretty short. Again, I go counterclockwise. Most people would probably go clockwise. Might be easier if you don't mind the steep grade going down on your knees, that kind of thing. Yeah, just personal preference. But again, very nice trail, lots of payoff. And like I was saying, I believe it's a nice introduction into climbing in the, or hiking in the whites, just because most things here are 1,000 feet of elevation change per mile, with a lot of bouldery, loose rock situations, and that can be a little bit of getting used to. So it's a nice introduction. Anyways, here we go, man. From here, we'll just go back down the trail. Once we get to that intersection, we'll just go right back out to the car. You can just barely see the parking lot right there. And that's about it, man. Artist Bluff, Bald Peak, very good.